I wanted to do a response to Fairshake Boxing. I saw your video on it's something like MMA fighter versus a boxer in a street fight. You know, um, and you're talking about the assumption that the majority of people make that in a street fight you gotta the MMA guy beats the boxer every time, right? And here's what I have to say about that, right? First of all, every time is that's ludicrous. That's crazy, right? Um, it's you can't say that an MMA guy would win every single time, right? I mean, you just can't. Um, but let's kind of talk about this a little bit here, okay? I think it's fair to say because I get your point, right? I get your point that in a street fight, it's about who gets who first. So if a boxer catches an MMA guy clean with a hook or something and puts his lights out, I mean, it doesn't matter that he has jiu-jitsu and wrestling, and because he's out. When you're knocked out, you're unconscious, so you're not equipped to do anything, right? I get that, and here's my thing, okay? And I guess this stems from people saying that this is a street fight. I mean, Conor McGregor would destroy Floyd Mayweather, right? Now, like, here's my thing, though, right? Can Floyd beat Conor McGregor in a street fight? Is it possible? Well, yes. There's many I mean, the number of circumstances possible, okay, are out there, right? There's many circumstances. It's I've seen fights happen in many different places, and I know that boxing would be very effective depending on when the fight starts, right? Like if two guys are sitting down at a bar and on stools, they start arguing, you know, at what point does the fight start? Like there's not a ref there. There's a bell's not going to ring. Nobody's going to say, oh, all right, fight. Like it's just, there's no, let's get it on. Okay, there's no ding ding. Okay, let's go. None of that, right? So if two dudes are sitting at a bar, and I've seen these scenarios a lot. Like they're sitting at a bar or something, and before you know it, somebody throws a punch. Okay, and the amount of time it takes to get off the stool and start engaging. Okay, a lot of things can happen, right? You can trip while you're getting off the fucking stool. Okay, I've seen that happen. But there's also it's although this is a side note, there's weapons you can use. Right? There could be a bottle right there that you can use and break and stab somebody with. Okay, there's the counter. You could slam somebody's head on it. You could pick up the damn bar stool and throw it at somebody. Okay, like there's many things that can happen. Right? I've seen fights at baseball games where guys start fighting. All right, and you're in a spot where you can't throw kicks or roundhouse or you can't really do any of that. Okay, and the fight's only going to last maybe 10 at the most 30 seconds before somebody shows up to break it up, right? Like security and all that. But like at a stadium, like like in stadiums and arenas where you're sitting down, especially those seats that are put in place. When you stand up, like the seat will kind of lift itself. You know what I mean? And that little aisle, this very little space in that specific circumstance, throwing fist is very, very effective, right? I mean, going for a takedown there is not as effective because of that circumstance, right? Now, can you pick somebody up and throw them? That's a whole other deal. But I'm just saying that puts a damper on a lot of what mixed martial artists could do, right? If it's in the middle of the street, okay, like if it's in an alleyway, I mean, you don't know what's in the fucking ground, right? Like you don't know if you go for a takedown and your fucking knee falls on glass or gravel or some shit. Like you just don't know, right? There's a lot of unknowns. So I get that. However, with all that said, right, I will say that if we were able to simulate it, right, if it was possible, that's impossible, but if we were able to simulate um, Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor getting in a random street fight with thousands of circumstances possible, right? It's I do believe that the vast majority of times, okay, Conor McGregor would win, right? And he wouldn't win 100% of the time, but it's I think a majority of the time he would win. Okay, I honestly believe that. And the reason he would win is because at the end of the day, well, yes, it is about who gets to who first, right? I get that. But they're both able to be first. They're both able to be the one that starts the fight. That's the truth for both of them. And not every time that you punch somebody are you going to knock them out. Like if not every time. You know what I mean? And I just think that given what Conor McGregor trains at or in, yes, there's going to be certain circumstances where maybe wrestling someone to the ground is not ideal, right? It's I get that, but that's not going to be the case in every case, right? That's not going to be the circumstance all the time. So I agree with you, but I also disagree with you, right? So I agree with you with people saying that Conor would win 100% of the time. So to give you like an example, when they're in the face-off, when Conor's getting on in his face and all that, like right there, if Floyd wanted to, he could throw a punch. He'll probably catching Conor off guard. He'll probably knock him out, right? When he's just standing up like that, okay, with his chest puffed out and all that. Boom, he could knock him out right there, right? And but at the same time, that would probably be a cheap shot. But nonetheless, right? If we count that as a, you know, I understand anyway that the fist of a professional fighter, of a boxer, are lethal, and I understand that they could cause damage. Okay, but again, I said, like, if we were to do 1,000 simulations, there's going to be circumstances where the fists aren't necessarily going to be ideal. They're just not. And to kind of put it this way, if let's be honest for a moment. So let's say Floyd Mayweather came from behind Conor McGregor 5 times, and just from behind and punched him in the head. Of course, if he could simulate that 1,000 times, he's going to knock him out a good fair share of those times, right? But he's not always going to knock him out. Okay, at some point he's going to turn around and probably take him down. Whereas if it's the other way around, if you allow Conor McGregor to come from behind Floyd and maybe get him in the chokehold or something, right, then very few times, if ever, is Floyd going to escape that. So if simulating this multiple times in any way, shape, or form was possible, I think the majority of the times Conor McGregor would win, right? But it wouldn't be 100% of the time. I mean, that I will agree with, right? So it just depends. It depends how we see it. It depends how, we could do this. And yes, if it were to happen one time, who fucking knows? Who fucking knows what would happen, right? When they're in the face-off, let's say Conor puts his hands on him and Floyd says, "Hey, don't put your hands on me," and he puts his hands on him again, and Floyd throws a punch. Who fucking knows what happens? I mean, there's no way to know, right? Because he catches him, boom, doesn't see it coming. Floyd can probably land another 2-3 punches before Conor can think of doing anything else, right? Because he'll be caught by surprise at that point. He's not warmed up. He hasn't been warming up in the dressing room, and a lot of knockouts happen in the first round when guys are cold. When they're not all warmed up, and especially with the bare knuckles. yeah, damage could happen. So, and I also say this. So I think it's also bullshit that when people say, "Oh yeah, Conor could beat Floyd in 10 seconds," that's stupid. Like that's retarded, right? I've never seen a boxer ever go into mixed martial arts and get beat in 10 seconds. That's never happened. Have they gotten beaten? Sure. Was it fast? Sure, but it took like a minute and a half, a minute and 40 seconds. It took a long time. No scuffle is going to last more than 10 seconds. No scuffle on earth. Okay, so this whole idea that, oh, Floyd's scared of Conor, is he? I don't know, but does he have a reason to? Not really. I mean, he doesn't really have a reason to beat Conor McGregor. In order for Conor McGregor to be effective in his MMA against Floyd, right? First of all, he's going to need the setting for it. Okay, he's going to need a cage for that. He's going to need a ref to say go. He's going to have to start with those rules. So, like, I'm not concerned at all about Conor using MMA on Floyd in a boxing fight. Like, what's he going to do? There's a ref there. A ref's going to break it up immediately. Right? Let's say, like, what's Floyd going to do? I think I'm trying to think of the guy, his last name's White, who said this, right? He's like, people are acting like Conor can just, land a spinning kick on Floyd or something. And he compared it to, if he can't even dunk on Floyd, if punching is dunking on someone, what makes you think he's in a 360-degree dunk on you, right? I'm not concerned about that at all, okay? If Conor throws a leg kick, that he'll get disqualified. He'll have 2 points deducted, okay? I mean, he's going to have a ref holding his hand, okay, saying 2 points, 2 points, 2 points, okay? And if Floyd can't continue, they're going to stop the fucking fight. And Floyd will win. All right? Shit's insane. And to be honest with you, like, I don't even think Conor could do that much damage with one kick. That's ludicrous. I've seen boxers go and fight professional kickboxers. And yeah, they get their legs beaten. They beat the shit out of their legs. Okay, they'll leg kick them, but it takes like 2 or 3 rounds from the fights I've seen to wear down the legs of the boxer. You think Conor's gonna do it with one fucking kick? Are you shitting me? Are people dumb? And let's say Conor like slams Floyd to the ground. This is not an MMA ring. Right? Let's say he picks him up. Now, first of all, I don't think it's going to be that easy to pick up Floyd. Conor is not a collegiate wrestler. He's a mixed martial artist, but he's not like at that level of a grappler, right? Where he's going to just pick up Floyd and slam him to the ground. Like I don't know where people are getting that from, right? I don't think it's going to be as easy as people think. He's going to have boxing gloves on, okay? I mean, this shit's retarded, honestly. Oh, if Conor does, they're doing this shit to sell the fucking fight, right? They're trying to see if will Conor go MMA on him and beat him up, like if if the refs gonna allow it to happen. Like the moment Conor shoots for a takedown, the moment the ref's gonna be pulling him off, right? I mean, it's stupid, and that's with the assumption, by the way. I mean. Like, what makes you think? Like, by the time people are saying, what if Conor's getting embarrassed and is getting punished in there, and Floyd's talking shit, so he decides to go full-fledged MMA on him, right? Like, so what's the scenario? So let's say they're boxing. Floyd's landing body shots. He's landing to the head. Okay, so he's in pain. Okay, he's starting to get exhausted. Like, what makes you think that he's going to be in a position to start going MMA on Floyd at that point? At that point, he's already has been getting a sustained amount of punishment endured on him, right? Inflicted on him, that is. He's been enduring, okay, that amount of punishment already. He's not going to be in a position to, he's not 100% anymore. He's exhausted at that point. He's mentally drained at that point. And the moment he tries to do something, that's what refs do when you tie up in boxing. They start breaking it up. So I don't, I am not whatsoever concerned. Okay, it's fantasy. It's fantasy. All right. Like we all know, Randy Couture, beat the shit out of James Toney, right? We know that, right? Now, granted, out of Randy Couture's own mouth, he basically says Tony had a 1 in 10 chance to catch him, right? Now, 1 in 10 chances, it's not that bad, really. So that kind of proves anything could happen. But with that aside, right? It took Randy Couture 1 minute and 40 seconds to submit James Toney, all right? That's a long time, right? When in comparative to the circumstance. Let's say James Toney boxed Randy Couture, right? Let's just play this, all right? Let's play this game. James Toney's boxing Randy Couture, right? We all know what would happen. James Toney will start outboxing his ears off. He'll start landing hooks and, he'll start landing body shots on Couture. And let's say Couture reaches a point where he's getting embarrassed and he decides, oh, fuck this guy. I'm going to take him down, right? So he takes down, he goes for a takedown. Now, number one, he's not going to be fresh like he was when he fought James Toney, right? From the very beginning going for the takedown. That's number one. It's going to be a guy that's frustrated, mentally drained, and has been getting punished with punches to his head and his body already. That's number one. But let's say he does take him down. He's not going to have time to mount him and do all that. The rest are going to get on him. People are going to take him off. They're going to be back on their feet, all right? And then what? It's going to be back to square one. He's going to go back to punishing Randy Couture. All right, so like this, he's not going to have 1 minute and 40 seconds to submit James Toney. That's stupid, right? So I'm not concerned. And by the way, Randy Couture is a far better wrestler, by far, than Conor McGregor, right? He's far better at taking guys down. He was a collegiate wrestler, right? Of a high quality. So this Conor, he doesn't have that type of grappling background. So this whole what if Conor takes down Floyd? He'll take him out in 10 seconds. That's ludicrous. That's stupid. Right? Like that is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. That never happens. I mean, if an old, washed up Ricardo Mayorga, if it takes them 2-3 minutes to submit him, right? When all that's allowed, what makes you think Floyd Mayweather, who is closer to his prime and in great shape, is going to get submitted in 10 seconds? That's stupid, right? But anyway, especially against a guy like Conor, who's not a submission specialist. He's not a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He doesn't have this amazing grappling. Where are people getting this from? That's stupid. This whole he'll squash him in 10 seconds. That's ludicrous, right? That's stupid. So anyway, just thought I'd say that, right? It's just putting that out there, right? I mean, let's say Conor does one kick. People are acting like when Conor says things, people believe it. Like when he says, "Oh, I would kick his little legs, both of them. I break them both with one kick." Nobody could do that. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Okay, he doesn't kick as hard as Muay Thai guys. And Muay Thai guys aren't kicking both dudes' legs off with one kick. I mean, they'll cause a lot of damage with one kick, but they kick a lot harder than Conor McGregor, right? But this whole idea, and he can't do that. He'll lose his whole fucking purse for landing one kick, and he's not even going to take out Mayweather with it, right? He'll lose his whole fucking purse if he tries to go for a takedown, and he's not going to do anything to Floyd if he takes him down, okay? It's going to look weird, okay? It's not what people think it is. So anyway, I know that kind of trailed off to what Fairshake Boxing's point was, but I just wanted to kind of talk about that. People are overblowing, right? This whole, and by the way, Conor's going to have boxing gloves on, right? How effective can somebody be trying, quote unquote, MMA moves while you have boxing gloves on, right? And then not only that, people are like, oh, what if he throws an elbow at him? Well, first of all, he signed a contract that he can't do that. That's number one. But you think if he lands an elbow, first of all, if the elbow causes a terrible cut, okay, let me put it this way: if they're boxing and Connor throws a fucking elbow at Floyd and it cuts his eyelid, okay, and it's the second round or the first round or something like that, there's going to be a lot of pissed off people wanting their money back, and it's not going to be Floyd's. It's not going to be Floyd's fault, and there's no reason Floyd should fight. But I will say this: unless it's off the clinch where, because it's illegal to throw an elbow, right? But like anyone who thinks that Connor could do a spinning back fist and land it on Floyd, or like a Superman punch, or like he's gonna do some crazy fucking elbow throws of any significance on Floyd, you're fucking crazy. I'm gonna tell you that right now, right? Like there's nothing Connor could do that's gonna destroy Floyd. Like his whole, like when he was talking to Floyd's dad, and he's like, it takes 2 seconds. In 2 seconds, I could grab his little neck and I will put him unconscious. Like, no, he's not. Like that's the dumbest shit I ever heard, right? That is the dumbest thing. Yeah, if a person willingly lets you put them in a chokehold, and then someone presses the start on the clock, right, on the stopwatch, and then you start squeezing that moment, yeah, maybe you'll make them pass out in 3 seconds, okay? But that's not exactly like Floyd's not just gonna like let you put them in a chokehold and then, that's the dumbest shit ever, right? Like, get the fuck out of here. Anyway, and then you're gonna do it, like, I don't know. I ain't concerned about it. Didn't even have to be in a contract, to be honest with you, but I understand why it's there, right? Connor could ruin a big event if he does something stupid, like like I'm just saying, especially because in boxing you're not expecting a knee in your face, while you're ducking low. You're not expecting that. So if you throw a knee at someone when it's illegal and they're not expecting that because it's illegal, then that's a pussy move. Like, it just is because it's illegal, right? There's no honor in that. What happened to honor and all that? Like, like people are just being stupid. Okay, so if you kick somebody in the head when that's illegal, so that there's no reason for them to worry about getting kicked in the head because it's illegal, So I understand why it's in the contract, but honestly, I mean, if Connor throws a kick, I just think Floyd's going to step to the side and nothing's going to land. I honestly believe that, right? Like, I mean, and then the ref will like look at Connor like, what the fuck you just do? And who fucking knows what happened? Okay, they'll probably stop the fucking fight there, and then a lot of pissed off people are going to be like, what the fuck, right? And Floyd's going to, walk away. He ain't going to give a fuck. He's going to take his money, right? Connor's going to lose all his money for trying to, like, in other words, just trying something stupid. It's going to lose his whole fucking purse. Just trying, right? So, there you go. But yeah, when people were like, oh, and like when they were in the face-off, and people were like, oh, if Connor wanted to, he could just destroy Floyd. Like, really? Like, you don't know what would happen. You just don't know what the fuck would happen. Like, they would only have time, in all reality, in those 5 seconds at the most, before people start pulling them both apart, okay? They would have 5 seconds to do something, right? Either Connor shoots for a takedown and takes him down, they pull him off, or Floyd starts throwing punches in his face, right? And who fucking knows what would happen? You don't know what would happen, right? There's no way to know. It's just like when Mayorga was in that press conference with that MMA fighter, and he kind of went up to him, and Mayorga, like, he did like a weird, like, karate chop shit to the dude's, like, side of his face or his neck or something, and wobbled him for a moment there. I mean, Mayorga got the best of him right there. But they broke it up in a matter of 4 or 5 seconds. Like, it was broken up immediately. I think 5 seconds is way too much time, actually. I think it would be less than that, to be honest. So who fucking knows what would happen? So why the fuck would Floyd be scared? You know, there's really no reason to be scared. You know, this whole that he'll take him down and smash him in 10 seconds. This is the dumbest shit I've heard. Right? I'm just saying. Okay. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. Let's pull something up. I always pull this shit up late, man. I never pull this shit up on time. I apologize. By the way, my previous video, somebody's out telling me, you know, oh, well, Duran had a Mexican dad. Let me tell you something. People that call Duran Mexican don't know that, right? They call him Mexican because he speaks Spanish and he's a boxer, right? That's why. Okay. I'm just saying. And if you ask Duran, he's not going to say he's Mexican, you know. Just putting that out there, you know. Anyway, guys, I don't really think I have anything else to add here. This is DStyle. I'm out.